Ladies and gentlemen, folks and friends, welcome to Rating Mario Kart. For the next few minutes, I'll just be casually going through the 16 original courses in Mario Kart DS and assigning them a score from 1 to 10. So let's not waste another second and dive right into it. Alright, Figure 8 Circuit. It's as basic as it really gets. So right off the cuff, I'm thinking this is a good baseline for a 5 out of 10. But it's perfectly serviceable. Oh, that was a good hit. At least, you take a look at the map. Not a lot going on. It basically mirrors halfway through. But it's a good place to practice your drifting, I think. We can get some of that going on here. Music's pretty solid. Definitely has that Mario Kart DS feel. But yeah, overall, solid. 5 out of 10. Now, Yoshi Falls, I would say, is a pretty strong contender for one of the finest original stages in the game. It's not that complex when it comes down to the layout of the map, but I do like the two separate layers you can go through. So you can come down here, it's a little riskier with the falls, but faster to go. But generally speaking, I think this is a nice firm 8 out of 10. Now, Cheep Beach. This one, I say, is pretty dynamic for a beach stage. So you got this dock segment that's pretty neat. This one definitely benefits more in the future when you have trick jumps and what have you, but for its debut appearance, it's still pretty solid. What I appreciate about it is not just the rising and lowering tides you got here, but as you get deeper into the stage, you get more to the island setting. Here where it's more jungle-like, which is pretty solid. If I had to give it a score, this one I think would stand at a good, we'll call it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, Luigi's Mansion is probably the finest stage in this game, or tied for among the tops. It's a pretty faithful recreation of the mansion, at least from the exterior. Super nice touch to have the different portraits of the ghosts from Luigi's Mansion here. Definitely has some tight maneuvering to do inside the mansion, which can definitely trip you up. And then just having this back graveyard area is also pretty cool. Ends up giving the environment a little bit more variety, which is always welcome. I've always found the mud section to be kind of fun because you have to try to get the right trajectory. Otherwise, your kart's real tough to maneuver. But definitely a 10 out of 10 stage in my books. There's been a lot of desert stages in the Mario Kart series so far, but gotta say, Desert Hill's among the best of them. This is the stage in this game that I feel really brings a lot of the Super Mario Bros. 3 energy. So you can see like the different blocks they have in the background, the pipes. And also, who can forget about the Angry Sun? That's probably one of the stage's best, coolest elements, neatest callbacks in the game. And here, the one thing I like about it is you can use boosts to really augment the performance. Overall, 9 out of 10. Delfino Square definitely stands out because it's one of the few stages in the series that's like a direct reference to a mainline Mario title. And Super Mario Sunshine definitely doesn't get enough love. But what I really appreciate with this stage is like this city section, where you got the tight corridors to go through. It's just a very cool atmosphere there. Then it opens up a bit more when you come to the harbor. And it has a very tricky shortcut right there, which we will not be taking, as you need the right finesse to get through that, and speed. The drawbridge here, neat addition to get a little airtime right at the home stretch. Got this little winding path, but overall, you know what? I'll call it an 8 out of 10. The Waluigi Pinball, a cult classic, if you will. I know I'm certainly a big fan. I like all the twists and turns this stage has to offer. And the different pinball mechanics mixed in there definitely helps elevate the challenge. It's definitely one of the harder tracks in the game, that's for sure. And it's evolved a lot over the years, but it always started off strong, which is something I can certainly appreciate. Having the track have those see-through rails where you can see some more of the track that's up ahead, very nice touch. And this area, always guaranteed chaos. You can get a feel for the rhythm of everything, but in the heat of an intense race, lots of madness. Overall, you know what, I think 10 out of 10. Shroom Ridge is an interesting one, because by all accounts, it comes across as a little plain, but because it has so many different vehicles driving around and getting in the way, certainly amplified in future titles, but even here, it makes for a more interesting track layout. There's a lot of winding paths, as you see on the map too. Opportunities for boosting through areas like this field to the left. Atmosphere, you know, you gotta have your nice greenery stages every now and then. The tunnel's a great addition as well. And having you driving off on the side of the ridge here certainly makes it seem a little more adventurous. So I would say, be reasonable. We'll give this one a nice 6 out of 10. DK Pass definitely mixes it up compared to your typical DK stage, considering it's all snow. But it makes for a unique environment for the fellow. I like the whole uphill adventure you go on at the start, slowly building up with the promise of coming back down, which you can definitely see on the map, which is also kind of a staple of Donkey Kong stages thanks to what they had going on in Double Dash. But I digress. Here we get to the pinnacle of the hill, and we start making our way down. Snowballs rolling down makes for a pretty dynamic trek. It's got an upbeat, gleeful soundtrack, which is pretty good. Down here, a bunch of good obstacles with the snowmen. We won't get to see too much of thanks to that lightning bolt, but you get it. Overall, not bad. We'll call 7 out of 10. Now, Tick-Tock Clock is a very nifty addition to the game. This is one of those callbacks to a different mainline entry with Super Mario 64. Which is very unexpected for a game like this, but you think DS also had Super Mario 64 DS, so it certainly checks out. The pendulums make for a cool obstacle. I like these alternating twisting gears we have going on here. Doesn't add a lot of challenge necessarily, but it does give you something a little different. Gets you to mix up how you're progressing through the course, which is always nice. I always really like this spot with the gears. Generally speaking, I would give this one an 8 out of 10. Now, it doesn't get too much more plain than Mario Circuit, but they did some nifty stuff with this one. Got your Goombas walking around as obstacles. Pretty simple things to avoid, but a nice touch all the same. But what I do enjoy the most is these piranha plants that fire fireballs out at you. Which are the only spot in the game you see those guys. They got something unique to make Mario Circuit feel a little different. Switching off to a dirt road over here, it keeps the visuals mixed up. Gives you something more to look at. Peach's Castle, a staple in a lot of Mario Kart stages, so you accept it. Overall, solid. I give it a 6 out of 10. Now, what's there to say about Airship Fortress that hasn't been said before? Fantastic stage, excellent Super Mario Bros. 3 callback, bullet bills coming at you right out of the gate. A lot of crazy gimmicks going on, a lot of variety in what's on the track. Here you got plenty of chaps. Very nifty. There's certainly a lot of rotating around things. Like there we had our first big turn. Here we have some boxes that have items to give you a little variety there. It's nice. The fire pillars, pretty good. But the cannon part, that's a highlight. And then coming down this winding tower certainly puts your drifting to the test, that's for sure. And having the castle be destroyed like that, it makes for a very cool atmosphere. Absolutely 10 out of 10 stage. Wario Stadium is certainly a familiar looking terrain, but still does a few things to differentiate itself from different places. You got the little jumps up there. This is certainly a stage that benefits a lot from mechanics in future titles, but still an enjoyable time on the DS version. Some treks through the mud. The boosts to keep it interesting. Humble beginnings, that's for sure. And then here we have some jumps with fire, which certainly call back to Waluigi Stadium of Double Dash fame. And one big final jump to round it out up ahead. Overall, we'll call that about a 6 out of 10. Peach Garden is a pretty nifty stage. It's got some good twists and turns if we pull out the map. If you have boosts, these flower garden patches end up giving you some good opportunities to zip on ahead. But this is the highlight of the stage right here, with the chain chomps going around and you gotta navigate the little maze. It's not too complex because you still gotta get through it and race, but very nifty. The flower beds slowing you down if you go in. Here we have a little bit of a smaller maze just to give you a little bit more action. Moles in the ground, not too shabby. We come around back to the front of the castle. Overall, not too bad. An 8 out of 10. Now, Bowser Castle starts off pretty familiar, going into a Bowser face into a castle with thwomps. But it does some things different that I think is pretty noteworthy. Certainly interesting to go down and slope stairs like that, but this room is what I'm thinking of the most. A little rotating space where if you take it a little further, you get a nice little shortcut here with a sliding thwomp. And I also like this winding hallway. You don't get to do too much in it, but it's a neat, nifty addition. And this spinning platform, there's a lot of rotation effects going on in this one that's different from your typical Bowser fare. But here we got the traditional lava circuit kind of area. Background's very cool. It definitely harkens back to the way it is in Double Dash, I believe. But as far as Bowser Castle goes, we'll call it a 7 out of 10. Rainbow Road here on the DS. It's not too shabby overall, I would say. Got some decent turns, some fair challenge. What I think is the most interesting part, which we'll see up ahead, is the shuttle loop well before gravity mechanics made it into the series. But that certainly set it apart from Rainbow Roads of its time. Very nifty. We got some nice loops going on there with some sound effects, good music. Typical of a Mario Rainbow Road, though. And here we have another spiraling loop, not quite the same as the last one to keep it fresh, which is definitely solid. And while it's just a sky background, they've definitely added a lot of good polygonal elements within the stage itself to keep the visual variety up, so you know what? I can dig it. We'll give it a nice 8 out of 10. And with that, we have the full set of 16. So what do you think? Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my selections, and we'll take the conversation from there. Anyway, I'll catch you next time.